call the meeting to order at 6:30. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from November 11th, 2019.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes as written signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All abstain. Okay. Additions or deletions to the agenda? Anybody?
No.
Alrighty, then I'll entertain a motion to take the agenda out of order and take its members of the public first.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of taking members of the public first signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. So, Mr. Marchant.
Hi. I'm wearing a whole bunch of hats tonight, so.
Okay.
We start out with the bridges for the Historical Society.
Okay.
The bridges update. I've got a couple of sheets to give to you. One basically covers all the bridges, and the other just deals with the one at the state park referred to as the Negro Brook Bridge, which is the one we want to try to proceed with. So these are dated, one's dated November 12th, the other's dated November 18th, and there's been more sales or contributions since then, but that's the last printed update. And the contributions come from contributions, people giving the Historical Society money for the bridge project, and sales of note cards, seasonal cards. There's some new ones that were just put into the display case over here, and we've been taking orders for them for the holiday season. Some of them done by Lois Phoenix. Been quite popular. So with that in mind, and receiving of a grant from the Windham Foundation specifically toward the Negro Brook Bridge, they would not give a grant to a bridge that's being used. So it's specifically targeted to that bridge. That bridge has a specific budget created by Michael when he did the assessment that is a little bit in excess of $18,000, and if you notice from that report, we're now at about $4,000 short, but it's less than that since the date of that report. So, at our most recent meeting, we decided we would like to engage Michael Weitzner to do the work that he proposed in the assessment that he did previously.
For Negro Brook.
Yes,
Okay.
for that one bridge. The theory being we'd like to get something done that's completed, that bridge is close to the road, people can see it. Once the work is done, they'll be able to see the kind of work that Michael's talking about, and maybe that'll help spearhead more contributions toward Fairbrook and West Townsend, and particularly West Townsend. So that's the proposal. It's a doable project, but we don't own the bridge, so we need to know if it's okay for us to ask Michael to produce a work agreement or whatever that can be presented to the board to sign. He's already done that once when he did the emergency work last year in West Townsend, so and I'm assuming no further damage has happened to the bridge since he did that report, so I'm assuming he'd be following the recommendations that he gave us in the original assessment that he did. But we just need to know what's the procedure for that. I'm assuming he would write something up and we would present it to you to agree to.
He would write a proposal?
Yes.
A cost proposal for us?
Yes.
And then it would be up to the board to decide whether or not they wanted to approve that, at which time you would be able to secure a contract.
Okay.
Between us and the town. The one thing we will need for him, which we forgot the last time, is we will need a certificate of insurance for him before
I thought
he
he
gets.
provided that.
He might have after the fact,
Okay.
but before if we're going into
Yeah.
a new contract in a new year, if you could just
Yeah.
remind him that we'll need that.
Okay. So Art will, I guess, we'll contact him, ask him to make up something that we can present to you, and we'll mention the insurance thing, and our goal is, you know, after this, that bridge tends to have snow on it till May 1st, so, you know, after that's passed, hopefully he'll start it and we'll get it done. The state park people are very supportive of this, and they would like to see that work done because it's so near the park, and it's part of their, what you can look at in Townshend type things, and along with the other bridges, but it's right there. They can walk to it from the park, so I think it would be a good showcase for this type of work. All right, so we'll proceed with that. I spoke to Stephen before about, we would like the board and the town to apply for a small structures grant again for the West Townsend Bridge. Megan Bronk encouraged us to do that, and we would encourage the town to do that. And I guess if it gets rejected again, it gets rejected. I don't think there's any cost or harm in asking. And then we're going to continue fundraising and grant looking for the West Townsend work. So it's just we don't have the authority to do that, and we just ask that you do it again.
Well, unfortunately, this year, we would be competing with the Stone Arch Bridge and Bridge 43.
Mm-hmm.
Because we would be submitting for Bridge 43. It usually takes a couple of years to actually have a grant application approved.
Mm-hmm.
And you just keep putting them in year after year until you find your number comes up and you're actually awarded that. We have the engineering study done and back for that bridge, so I'm guessing that in the spring that whoever's on the board is going to apply for a structures grant for 43. I don't know if it makes sense to compete against ourselves, you know, by putting 2 in for Townsend, because there's a very limited, I believe it's 10.
We're just going by the suggestion of Megan that it was appropriate to do that, and she made it sound when we went through this last year. Of course, it was rejected, but to do it again, and yes, you are competing with each, you know, with yourself in a sense. I don't think they'd give the West Townsend one over Bridge 43, but I had, well, I'm way out of line here. I had an opportunity to talk with the guys that were there, and they made a statement that it didn't appear as though that bridge needed replacing. It needed repairing, so I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't seen the report.
Well, the report's right here, and we'd be happy to give you a copy of it if you'd like to see it.
Okay.
As well as the email chain that came down from the, I believe that was the auditor's office. Diane Hahn at the auditor's office wanting to know what the town was going to do about Bridge 43. So then this is about 2 years old at this point in time. So bridge has been in the works now for a good 2 to 3 years, trying to get the engineering study done, and then to the structure.
Does the engineering study recommend replacing it, or
It does not recommend replacing it, but if you look at the email chain that's been going back and forth, Kurt Bostrom told them in, it must have been December of 2017, that it was an application to replace. And he has support of, at that point in time, it was Mark Pickering.
Well, I guess my question is, obviously if it needs replacing, it's probably going to come close to the 175,000, I believe, or probably, but if it simply needs repair, is it possible do they ever combine projects? Since the West Townsend one didn't need an engineering study, they accepted Michael's assessment report. I don't know how these things work, but if that's possible, it's possible that if we were to receive the total maximum amount, it could be applied to both bridges. But I leave that, I don't know anything about these, and I just offer that as a suggestion, and I'm only going on what Megan Bronk suggested that we do is reapply, but we can't do that, so. Anyway,
Well,
you-
I mean,
I-
did you have a copy, did we copy what, we can hand that to him if you would, please. The, basically, I mean, we could certainly put one in, but I would just worry about competing against ourselves.
Yep.
But that'll be up for somebody to decide.
Yeah, well, perhaps there's a way to, you know, first priority is Bridge 43 and second priority, so that they're not competing with each other, but instead of two separate, I don't know.
Well, there's a cap on the amount
Right,
that are going
right.
to land,
Yeah.
and
What's the window for the grant application?
And then the work has to be done within a certain length of time, I would imagine.
it's usually 2 years.
Yeah.
They're fairly substantial lengths of time on the structures grants.
Okay.
But again, it's very unusual to get one the first year that you apply for it, so.
Yeah, they do what, 10 for the state, right?
Yeah, they do,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would think the odds of towns are getting 2 would be,
Well, but even our
Or
first year of
getting one,
applying it,
yeah.
getting one, it's probably gonna take several years of applying before they can actually just get to 43 for that matter, so it is definitely a long-term project.
Okay.
But you now have what we had in the file as far as
Yeah.
the reference material and how the state has,
May I keep this and bring it back?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the group and we'll look over it. Okay.
whoops, we're sliding off.
All right, well, that's it on that part of it. The other part is this name issue, which has taken on a life of its own. This is mostly to make you aware that there has already been a petition to change the name of Negro Brook presented. The statutory requirements of this are that the Vermont Library Board makes name changes of physical features. And there's a statute that covers the process. It involves a petition. The petition was returned because it wasn't complete. But it's in the wind, so.
It's also on the internet. Do you know where this petition actually was?
Pardon me?
Do you know where this petition actually was? Because there is an internet petition that's online.
Yeah.
People can sign up.
I've been led to believe that electronic petitions are not accepted,
Oh, good.
but anyway. And if it's the one I saw, they had the bridge in West Brattleboro.
Exactly.
So, stupid people shouldn't be rewarded for their ideas. But this is not something that's new. The state park has been involved in this for some time because of people coming to the state park and asking, how did the name originate? So I've been in touch with the State Library Board. I've been researching that, and it's not been easy, but it's something I like to do, so I like to try to come up with the answer. The point of me mentioning this to you is the statute requires the select board to be informed of the potential change because there has to be a hearing. And I requested of the State Library Board that the hearing be in Townsend when a correct petition, if one was filed, arrives with them. They thought that was a rather novel idea in that they meet in Barry. And I said that, and I'll go on record as saying this brook is 100% in the town of Townsend. It doesn't originate in any other town. It's not like the West River that goes through a whole bunch of towns. The name appears on the 1869 Beers Atlas, so it's not something that got a name just a few years ago. It has some longevity to it. There's some discussion of African Americans who lived in Townsend at that particular time. No one has shown me any proof through any documentation that this was the case, but it appears that it may be. The names that I have did not live anywhere near this brook. So they did live in Townsend, and some lived in what was Acton, which didn't become part of Townsend until 1840, which is nowhere near the brook. I just wanted the board to be aware that they may receive notification. I've asked the Historical Society to be one of the parties. That's not a requirement of the statute, but it is required to be posted in the paper of record, which is the Reformer. And then it's a 30-day notification period, and then you have a hearing. When I got involved in this, I first had no idea that the State Library Board was involved in this sort of thing, and also how many requests there are to change names in the state. There's quite a few. The other question I asked of the person that's originating this petition through email was how many of the people who signed it, and you have to have 25 or more, quote, interested persons, were from Townsend or even Windham County, and none of them were. And I made it clear that I found that unacceptable.
Now, is this coming about because of the question of where did it get its name, or is it coming about because of its name?
Because of its name. No, I don't think there's been any research done by the petitioners as to how it got its name.
So they're just worried about the name?
Yes. So it's just a point of information. And in talking with the state park people, and I have talked with them recently, this is a question that comes up a lot. And they don't have the answer. And I don't have the answer. But I'm looking into it, and hopefully we'll come up. I need to come up with a specific name, of a person, as opposed to, there was a black person living there, and, who knows.
Just make something up and stick with it.
So that's the story on that. All right, my next hat is combining a couple. There seemed to be a little question about when the fire department sent out its annual letter, which was last week. There seemed to be a question about the bulk mail application, which hadn't been renewed.
It's in tonight's pay.
It's been taken care of?
It will be
Okay.
tomorrow.
It caught us by surprise, and so I don't know. Is the town responsible for that, or?
Paying the fee for the bulk mailing, yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. So those letters have gone out. I guess they got mailed, and then the postage, Michael was told they hadn't filled out as well. What could he do about it? He didn't know about it. We didn't know about it. Anyway. And then the last thing is, it's time for annual reports. So I'm kind of representing the fire department, the cemetery commission, and the historical society. Is there a deadline for the annual reports and a person to get them to?
Next week, and it's correct.
Huh?
It will fall under Carla's shoulders to coordinate the different pieces.
Okay.
As far as the deadline goes, we haven't really even begun the budgeting
Okay.
part.
I
So
understand.
I'm guessing we're gonna follow our same traditional script, and we'll sign the warning right after the first of the year. So if we can shoot for that time frame, that would be great.
So I'll be involved in three of them, the cemetery, fire department, and historical society. Okay,
Okay?
that's it.
Alrighty. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Charlie.
you.
All right, yeah, she's got the ones, don't you?
Your next is the captain.
Ready? Make a motion to pay check warrant number 1, payroll, in the amount of $11,080.66.
Just a minute, 'cause I can't find the
Second.
paper. No, I can't find the paper. Where is it? Okay. All right, is there? do
I
we-
seconded.
Okay, so second, all those in favor, any discussion? Blah, blah, blah. Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll warrant number 1 in the amount of $11,080.66, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 2, payroll tax, the amount of $4,946.70.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll tax warrant number 2 in the amount of $4,946.70, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 3 out of the general fund, the amount of $11,087.22.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 3 in the amount of $11,087.22, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 4 out of the general fund in the amount of $20,569.54.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 4 in the amount of $20,569.54, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 5 out of the highway fund in the amount of $5,062.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying highway warrant number 5 in the amount of $5,062, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 6 out of the equipment fund, the amount of $1,637.49.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying equipment warrant number 6 in the amount of $1,637.47 or 49 cents, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. Okay, so I want to keep some of this straight here. Alrighty, then moving on to highway report.
We've had several weather events. We started out November with some freezing rain and some minor snow, but we've had good sand and salt, I think 8 different times so far this season. As far as projects go, we have been working on ditching and hazardous trees. We'll continue with that in between storms as long as the ground isn't frozen. And I'm sure you're all aware, about 2 weeks ago there was a fatal accident on Route 35 in Athens. The state police had called me shortly after the accident and asked me to close off the Athens Road at the intersection of the Grafton Road on Route 35. That's when I learned we don't have adequate signage to do that. So I put together what I felt we needed for a sign order to do that. I do have $500 in my budget this year for signage. To put together a sign package that I think the town should have, it's $863. So we have a couple of options. I could use my budget, and I had a discussion with Sherwood Lake, and he offered to pick up the other piece under his budget. Or I could do my budget now and apply for a safety grant, which would become available in April to pick up the balance. So however the board thinks we should move forward, that's the cost for road closure signs, detour signs that we do not have.
Any suggestion?
Does the fire department have those?
They have some signs, but they don't have what I needed to do to,
Right, okay.
you know, I was out there
Really
with
close the road.
a
Yeah.
piece of wood and a can of spray paint, you know, it's not
Very
too
good.
impressive.
Depends on how good you are with spray paint.
No.
You're not artistic in nature.
So if Sherwood picked up the balance from his budget, the signage would still live at the Townsend, at our garage.
Yes, his emergency management
Yeah.
budget, he has funds to pick up the 300 and change over what I would be able
I
to
think
do.
that's a great idea.
I'd make a motion to have Steve order the signs and pay for $500 worth of them out of his budget, and then the balance of it out of the emergency management plan budget through Sherwood Lake. Does that
Second.
make sense?
Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of ordering and paying for emergency signs, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Thank you, that's all I have.
That's it? Alrighty. Then, Carla, do you want to bring up what you found out about the Cintas piece on the uniforms? Where we are now with that?
I finally spoke with somebody from Unifirst today with regard to telling them that I've been trying to get in contact with them. And she said that the gentleman will be calling me tomorrow afternoon as they've been really busy. I basically just said that we would like to go in a different direction. We would still like to have our, cloth being picked up and washed, but we would like to move in a different direction, just not cancel our contract at this point, and I'll be contacted tomorrow. And
There's
There's still
Thanksgiving
time.
rush going on.
Halloween rush, I'm guessing, maybe, because it's around September. Yes, and they're still adamant that we owe them money.
See, which is going to involve actually getting down the nitty gritty in the weeds, because we don't owe them any money. And if they can't even keep their books straight, then that's not somebody we want to do business with. Okay, anything else on the Cintas or any questions on that? All right, then Carla has been working with Megan Brunk to do the closeout on the engineering study for 43. The paperwork is here. I just need a motion to approve it, and we need to sign it so we can submit a request for reimbursement of $10,350.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of signing the request for reimbursement for the engineering study on Bridge 43, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. So this needs to go down. Be signed. Okay. There was nothing this month, that we're in the second meeting of the month, so there's nothing on town clerk counter monies. So then we'll move on to the town treasurer.
Your sweep account, you have $1,584,431.54. Your checking account is $31,298.
Okay, is there any questions? The next meeting they'll have, you'll have the school warrants, so that won't last long. Okay. There is no other correspondence that won't be addressed later on in the meeting. So then moving on down to old business, the follow-up for the Windham Central request to use the town hall on December 10th for the concert.
I still have not heard back from the director.
You did find out what time though, did you?
Oh,
not?
yes, 6:30. No, 6. He wanted people to arrive at 6. I think the concert was starting at 6:30.
So that would be exactly the same time as the board meeting. And I
Yes.
believe you left a message to have him call you back if
Yes.
with the possibility of rearranging the dates.
Of rearranging the dates or the times even, and he has yet to respond.
Okay. All right, just on that same note with the building use, there will be a funeral scheduled here on Sunday that did not come through the normal channels, just so everybody's aware.
Yep.
Okay, then moving on to new business, health insurance rates for next year. This is when we're gonna get rid of all of our employees because it's a whole lot cheaper. Bye, Steve. Okay, currently, what we are providing is a 2-person silver plan. And our cost this year, the annual cost is $13,465. That's what we're currently paying. And we're
And
paying.
that's per plan, right?
That's per plan, per person. For next year, it is $15,474. Which is $2,000 increase.
Can you say that number again, Kathy? I'm sorry.
15,474.
Thank you. And that's a two-person plan?
That's the same two-person
Same
plan.
plan.
Yeah. So as we begin this whole budgeting cycle and whatnot, the board needs to decide what you'd like to do with health insurance this year. Do we want to eat the entire increase? Do we want to go back to some kind of an employee match? What's your preference?
Again, we talked about this when we were looking for hiring for the town crew. I think it's a good selling point for hiring. It is not a nominal increase, but I do think that it's something that we should consider keeping the current rate. To keep it so that we reimburse fully, we cover the full cost.
So does somebody want to make a motion and then we can actually discuss it?
I would move that we accept the rate increase and continue to cover the full cost of the two-person silver plan for the town employees.
We need to state what that amount is, that amount.
At
$15,474. Okay. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, now is there any discussion?
Is there
That's
an
a
option?
$2,000 increase per person, so for two it would be 4, right?
No, per plan.
No, it's per
It's
plan.
per plan.
Okay.
Right.
Person.
And is there option to drop to a bronze plan from the silver plan? The deductibles change significantly typically, right?
Yeah.
So that's not a great selling point, but.
And again, there are two people that are currently on the health insurance plan that do not take or three people that do not take the two-person. They're singles. So that is.
So it does
There's some
our overall,
flexibility in
yeah.
there as well. But by setting a dollar amount, then we set an upper limit as to
Right.
the amount of money. If we were to have an employee that had or wanted to have a family plan, that would allow us to enter into a sharing agreement with the actual cost of the insurance with the employee. So, any further discussion then on that? Hearing none. All those in favor of setting the 2021 budget, but it's actually the 2020 calendar year, healthcare costs at $15,474 per employee, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. So that would give us our starting number moving forward for the healthcare costs in the budgeting piece. So we need
It
to,
looks so easy when you do it. I tried to do it last week, I couldn't make heads or tails.
I've been doing those quite well. Okay, now, if we're talking about cost increase, this one's really gets my goat. Okay, so we just spent an extra $2,000 a person on health insurance, and now we received a lovely little letter dated November 19th from NEMRC. That is basically informing us that our annual support license fee will increase from $1,460.81 to $5,000 per year.
What? You're kidding? No, not. There's a letter. What do we get for that?
Not much. Security.
Yeah, it sounds like they're basically taking their need to upgrade their security and just passing it along.
In the first year,
Yeah. Right out of the gate.
right on top, yeah.
Wow. Who's there? Who competes with them for this? or
Absolutely no
Nobody.
one.
I knew you were going to say that. Just knew it.
Now, do all the towns have NEMRC?
Majority do.
So out of 251 towns in the state, most of them have that?
Most of them do.
It's quite an increase if you go
Well,
throughout the whole group.
And there again, you have to be in it for CAMA regardless. For the lister software, so. And you're gonna pay the service agreement regardless of what modules you use.
Right.
Oh, there's value added due to the increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 value added bulleted items. Free training webinars. If anybody's interested.
So
We haven't had this before.
Carla, one of the things that is going to be on the clipboard is the 2020 plan selection form. We're gonna need to get that filled out as well, now that we know what we're doing for each of the employees. So we're gonna, the number of each of the different plans. And get that submitted before the end of the year.
It'd be interesting to know, the second item here says additional support and programming staff. What does that look like for us? Like, does that mean?
I don't know, because they charge you every time they talk to you on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe they're just going to have more people available.
Which is good, because isn't Laura retiring?
Yeah, Lori is. But,
That just seems to me like an astronomical increase.
It's
In
crazy.
a fee that should be challenged. Even if we end up paying it, we should at least ask them what they intend to, what we're paying for.
Mm.
It has to do with, from my understanding, it has to do with the security breach that NEMRC had last year. And a lot of the security measures that they had obviously weren't sufficient, so they had to bring in a bunch of people that were more, I guess, qualified to take care of those situations rather than the people that they had. So their payroll costs increased significantly.
But that's not the town's problem.
Yeah.
I would argue that right there. That's their cost of doing business because it was their error. That has nothing to do with the town of Townsend.
Mm-hmm. Or any other town.
Or any other town for that matter. They're just pushing, you're exactly right, Will. They're just pushing that,
They're just passing the cost.
passing the cost on. What happens if, I don't know, what happens if we say no? Then we have no cybersecurity support and no.
it's more along the
Well, we
lines,
have
we
no
don't have any
accounting.
software.
Well, I like paper pencil anyway.
I'll let your book, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Elaine's gonna love that one, Crystal. We'll
I
let
know,
you
sorry.
break her.
I know. Sorry, Elaine.
I mean, you can certainly have that conversation. I know there was a lot of confusion a couple of years ago because we were hit with like 5 or 6 different costs for different pieces of software, for different support services, for licensing agreements, now for cloud services, and it's becoming thousands and thousands of dollars that you can't
Right.
get back up. And we did ask. And
Yeah.
we got a breakdown of that, so it's possible when that bill actually comes in. This was more notifying us that it's going to be different next year for budgeting purposes, is what it was for. But when that bill actually comes in, somebody can certainly demand that there's an answer as to why.
That's fine, we can wait until we actually get the bill. I mean, are you surprised? This seems like a lot of money.
I will tell you what my initial reaction was when I read the letter.
On
Well,
camera.
sure, we could guess.
I'm sure you could. Carla heard it. They're not my favorite people anyway. But anyway, so that's just information that we'll need to,
Too bad QuickBooks doesn't do listing software.
yeah. All right, so that was NEMRC and their astronomical cost increase,
Right.
which is what the agenda actually says. Okay, so the next thing we need to do, because we're starting to get really into the nitty gritty here on something, is we need to set some meetings for workshop dates for the budget.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot to bring my book. So when would you like to begin this? I know Steve's been working on his budget. We've got a file folder here for the town. We just set the rates for health insurance. We're going to have to talk at that first meeting about what we want to do with wages.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the biggest elephant in the room when it comes to a budget. So when would you like to get together and do that?
What's the time frame?
We need to have it
Sooner rather than later.
signed, yeah, exactly. particularly since Carlos never actually put this together, and it's gonna be a step-by-step, right, process for her to be able to enter those numbers into the,
Yeah.
into the system and get us a preliminary as we go. I did get a whole file folder full of information today as to where we are surpluses and deficits. So I have good firm numbers, even though the audit's not back yet, of where we're starting.
Can people do earlier than 6:30? Like, could you do like a 4:30?
I could do 4:30.
Just,
I mean, my initial thought is just schedule the next several off Tuesdays.
No, you can't do that, because then I won't be here on the third Tuesday. That's my
Oh,
rescue meeting.
right.
Well, can we do our first workshop right after the meeting on the 10th?
Or right before.
I can't do before,
Oh, we can.
if it's Tuesday.
Oh, if it's Tuesday.
And the concert, what about the concert that's
Oh, right.
happening or not happening?
Well, evidently it's not, because they haven't gotten back to us.
Okay.
So,
Or a Wednesday, what about the next day, earlier in the afternoon?
I
Like
can do Wednesdays.
like 4:30 on
On the
Wednesday?
11th?
Sure.
Does that work for you, Kathy? Your rescue meetings are Tuesday.
they're Tuesdays, they'll be off Tuesdays.
Do you want to shoot for like 4:30 on the 11th?
Okay, that's fine.
Sure.
Using this thing like I know how to use it, right?
Okay, before budget. So the one thing that we do need to think about going into that meeting is what we might be looking at in the way of, like I said, salary increase, wages, all that stuff going in. So if you have a rough idea of what you think we should be looking at, then come prepared to have a discussion from that standpoint. Okay, so unless anybody hears differently, we'll plan on December 11th. Why is that date familiar? We'll plan on December 11th at 4:30 to begin those budget meetings. Okay?
Okay.
And they're gonna be pretty consistent, I'm guessing, probably week after week after week until we get done. Because again, it will take her a while to understand what she's doing, doing the input on this and how to get it to spit out what we need. All right, the next piece is we need garbage bags. We need to purchase some more. So we have a quote for, how many packages did you
She
quote?
did the same
40?
order that we had last year.
It's the same, oh, it's 84 cases, okay, no, that's case quantity 84, okay. Basically, we need a motion, if we're going to stay with the garbage bags, a motion to approve a purchase order essentially for $4,023.60 to bring in additional garbage bags.
Is that the same rate as last year?
I can't tell you because I don't have a previous rate.
What's the cost per bag?
It's like 23 cents, something like that.
23, almost 24 cents.
Okay, so it's in line with what it was, what it has been. That was my only.
Yeah, it's
Curiosity.
20.2395.
And I would motion that we order garbage bags for the town for the amount of, what was the amount?
$4,023.60.
$23.63.
No, 60 cents. 60.
Sorry, 60 cents.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? No? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving an order to order additional garbage bags for the town of Townsend, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. Thank you.
Kathy, who's driving us around to different areas in the state?
No, I used to, no more.
Then I don't,
Carla.
Carla.
you are.
Good.
So are you going to be going out to the garage to get them then? Is that, okay. What is the date, the 20?
Today.
It's 26.
26. they still stored here?
Right now they are. They're being moved.
I was just gonna say, does it make sense to have them delivered somewhere else?
Requested delivery date, I don't know. You know, one thing, did you ever find out? Carlo, if we need to put a deposit on these, or do they just bill us? Because it's basically asking what the method of payment it is.
She just asked me to look it over, and I said that we had a board meeting, and we will look at it, and she goes, okay, when you sign it, just send it back.
Okay. Then that's how we'll do it. So I'll put that in the clipboard to be dealt with. So, is there any other business to come before the board? No, the next meeting then will be December 10th at 6:30 PM here, with a budget meeting the following day at 4:30. So if there's no other business, then I would entertain a motion to move into executive session under 1 VSA 313A3 to discuss employee evaluations.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, so we'll go into executive session.